Mechanical pencil.
Okay, all right. He found it.
All right, good deal. Okay, so we're going to review a little bit. Again, if you guys have questions during any of this process, just let me know. So we started out a few weeks ago talking about the hero's journey. Somebody who has good notes, tell me what the hero's journey is about.
Joseph Campbell.
Say it again.
Joseph Campbell.
Joseph Campbell. You familiar with Joseph Campbell?
He's my favorite author.
Outstanding. What do you know about the hero's journey?
Like what Buddha did, what Jesus did, what all people did. They leave their comfort zone. You know, Buddha saw all the suffering people and he left the prince. And he accepted the challenge. It's about like 4 phases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you accept the challenge, you leave your comfort zone, and then you find a boon, and then you bring the boon back. And now you have your treasure trove, now you're a hero.
Beautiful. Great start. Tell me your name again, sir.
Clay.
Clay?
Clay,
Yeah, good. Well, he stole my thunder. That's the whole thing. We should be done now. That's it. You guys understand, like, if we imagine the hero's journey, how the process of sobriety and recovery kind of match up with that?
No,
Who said no?
I don't understand.
Okay, cool. Right? So, first part of the hero's journey is that they have to leave their comfort zone. They have to go do something distressing or uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Was coming to treatment easy for you?
Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely not. Yeah, for most of us, it isn't, right? So, you set off on a journey when you decided to come to sobriety, to come to treatment.
Yeah, got on the train.
You got on the train, right? So it's just like an analogy for life, right?
Yeah.
You can look at it as your whole lifetime, your whole span of existence. You could also break it down to like just existing for a day. It takes you the hero's journey to get through 24 hours, right? So we're just kind of setting it up as like a framework for how to think about navigating this without having to do any of those fucking crappy packets or talk to a counselor, right? You can do all of this kind of in your imagination.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, from the hero's journey, we talked a little bit about archetypes. So hero's journey is like kind of big and broad. Archetypes starts to get a little bit more specific. Who knows what an archetype is?
Carl Jung.
Say it again.
Carl Jung.
Yeah, Carl Jung knows what archetypes are for sure. Go ahead, Stephen.
So an archetype is basically the mold or like the baseline of something, that everything springs from. So the 4 archetypes that we were working with were warrior, lover, monarch, and wizard.
Mm-hmm. Good. So again, kind of referencing some stuff.
Power and mother.
Yeah. There are hundreds, right? Some of them are culturally specific, but a lot of them have been used for millennia in the way that people look at how life happens and how we respond to how life happens. So the 4 that I use for this curriculum are the warrior, the lover, the monarch, and the wizard, right? We kind of contextualize those because they each have characteristics, right? So if you were thinking about like warrior energy, what might be some characteristics of the warrior?
The leader.
Yeah,
Strong.
leadership,
Okay.
strength, courage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Adventurous.
say it again.
Adventurous.
Adventurous, absolutely. If you think about a lover, or you think about somebody who's sort of like not just a lover with like a romantic partner, but like a person who takes care of other people, what might be some characteristics of a lover?
Compassion.
Empathetic.
Empathy, compassion,
Awareness.
awareness.
Yeah, have your defenses down a lot.
Say it again.
Becoming willing to have your defenses down a lot.
So maybe like openness or something like that?
Openness,
Yeah, good. Okay, and then we get to like the monarch. So now not just like interpersonal relationships, but a monarch kind of has responsibility and accountability for a whole bunch of people. So what might be some characteristics of a monarch or a king?
Leader.
Decisive,
Security.
again, leadership, security,
Loyal.
loyalty.
Legal.
Yep, good. And then a wizard. So a wizard, right, we think of sort of like magical or mystical, but this is also sort of like how we interact with our higher power. If you are affiliated with any kind of religious belief, it could be that too. But what might be some characteristics of a wizard?
Wisdom.
Wisdom, absolutely.
Experience.
Experience. Foresight, absolutely. Yeah, the ability to forecast. Yeah, for sure. Magnanimous. Who's been reading the thesaurus?
Somebody, I just in my notes, somebody said it last time. Sorry.
Right. So again, thinking about just how you experience awe, basically, right? So if you're into nature, going out and being in nature, that's an experience of awe, right? There's lots of other ways. So with those archetypes, we kind of give ourselves a list of characteristics, right? And we see that we possess all of those characteristics, right? Everything you guys just named off, each of us have some piece of that within ourselves, right? And again, this is just contextualizing that even though it might feel shitty to be in treatment right now, maybe life is a little bit restricted, you guys each have parts of those 4 archetypes in you, and treatment is an opportunity for you to kind of build on those archetypes, right? You basically have nothing but time for at least this 30 days. You just walk that loop, thinking about what life is like, thinking how it's going to be different. Focusing on the archetypes might give you somewhere to put that energy and intention instead of just twiddling your thumbs or spinning your fidget spinner. Okay, then we got into somatic awareness. Anybody remember what somatic awareness is about?
What's the matter?
Indeed, what does somatic mean?
Body awareness.
Yeah, body awareness. So soma is like the Greek root, it just means body, right? So we talk about like our physical experience of addiction and recovery.
So you're talking about like the subtle body, like in Hinduism they talk about?
It could be like that, yeah. There's definitely like some yogic traditions that go along with stuff like this, for sure. Anybody else got good notes on what somatic awareness is about?
Guided imagery.
Yep, good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so we did, say it again.
Intuitiveness?
Could be intuitiveness. That's more like the heady kind of intellectual stuff though.
Okay.
So with somatic awareness, what we're talking about is like how you start to feel again, right? So a lot of times in addiction, the reason that we choose addiction is because we're trying to distract ourselves or we're trying to ignore some kind of distress or discomfort. There's something that doesn't feel good to us, whether it's emotionally or physically, and we choose some kind of substance or behavior to help numb ourselves against that. When you choose to get into treatment, start pursuing sobriety, you no longer have that buffer of the behavior or the substance that you're using. You start to feel everything again, right? On an emotional level, definitely, but also sort of like on a physical level. Somatic awareness is kind of like where those two things interact. We talk about like a mind-body connection. Anybody ever heard that? Right? How your physical body influences how you think, how your thoughts and emotions affect your physical health.
Asana.
Say more. What does it mean?
Asana yoga.
Yep, and what about it?
Yoga, everybody thinks of yoga as asana yoga. Yoga is a broad term, but
Mm-hmm.
asana yoga is more like what you're talking about when you do the positions.
Mm-hmm. And they elicit some type of emotional response, right?
Yeah, your mind body, that's how like women get through when they've been raped and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name, that guy that wrote that book?
Body Keeps the Score.
He's talking about that girl, she had to stand in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
She couldn't even go in the opposite room, but she went to her favorite window and did yoga by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she started getting comfortable with her body.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So a lot about, say it again?
I was just saying, you'd be surprised what you can learn from somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot about somatic awareness is the healing process, right? And it's a very subjective, individual experience. None of us are going to heal the same way, but all of us have to figure out some way that works for us to get through that healing process. So we talked about grounding exercises. What are grounding exercises? Why are they relevant?
It's like being mindful about the way that you are here on Earth type deal. Like you can take your shoes off and go like out in the grass and
Touch
plant
grass.
your feet. Yeah,
Excuse me.
and that's a way people ground themselves with nature.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
You stay grounded by breathing.
Yeah. Good. Anything else?
Becoming present with the world around you and taking the mind off of whatever may be causing you stress or anxiety or whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot about presence, right? It's a lot about experiencing the current moment, trying not to get too mired down in whatever past has happened, trying not to clusterfuck your mind by thinking about what's going to happen, but just kind of being with what is.
Like, this brought to mind, like, how, like, Native Americans were always, like, very grounded, like, in connection with the earth. Everything had like a vibration, a spirit, like, in essence, and they were so connected to that.
Yeah, a whole bunch of indigenous cultures have these kind of practices. Most Western white cultures have avoided them completely, which is why so many of us are sitting in this room currently, right? We haven't had any kind of platform or template for how to do these things for most of our lives, and now we're all grown men trying to figure this shit out to heal ourselves from our addiction.
On that note, like what you're talking about with do you think that has something to do with also came to like Western Abrahamic religion?
Oh, you're getting deep, but yes, I do. Absolutely. We'll get into that later. So we talk about grounding exercises specifically to talk about emotional regulation, right? Grounding exercises provide us tools and skills and opportunities to, again, kind of feel what the bad stuff is, but also figure out some way to navigate that in an effective way that doesn't require us using the substance we were addicted to or the behavior we were addicted to. When we talk about emotional regulation, I want to be very clear that I'm not saying that this is about control, right? This is not about trying to control your emotions, suppress them, right? This is sort of the main narrative that especially men have been socialized, right? Where we maybe have like two emotions that we're allowed to experience. What are they?
Joy and anger.
Joy and anger, absolutely, right? You get anger most of the time. That's how you react to anything quote unquote bad. And you get joy, which is how you react to anything good. You guys think that that's a full experience of life?
No, absolutely.
Absolutely not. I don't think so either. So what we talk about with emotional regulation is how to modulate our emotional experience, right? And when we talk about modulating, what we're really trying to do is line up how we feel internally with our experience of the external world. So somebody give me another emotion besides anger or joy.
Love.
Love. Yeah, hopefully we've all experienced that at some point, right?
Happiness, grief,
Happiness. You said lust. Could be.
Anger,
grief,
Grief, absolutely.
confusion,
Confusion.
anger,
Anger. Back on anger again. We got
fear,
that.
we said that?
Fear. So good. So we all understand that there's a wide breadth of emotion that's possible. We all understand that lots of different experiences happen to us, and there's lots of different ways to react to them. Emotional regulation, somatic awareness, grounding, these are all things that help us line up our internal experience with the external stimuli that we're feeling. Okay, so let's take an example. Everybody has road rage? Who doesn't have road rage? Okay, what is road rage about?
Trying to rush somewhere, you need to engage.
Sure.
Pisses you off the way they're driving.
Okay, so it could be like you're in a rush, could be like somebody else pisses you off. But what like, let's go deeper. Like, what's really the concern
they
with
think that
road
they're
rage?
better than the rules of the road.
Okay, so one person, the person driving, might think of
For whatever
themselves.
reason, they're so hot and fucking
Yeah, could be. I think what I'm getting at is the root of road rage is actually fear,
Oh,
right? In the sense that when people drive crazy, I'm not maybe making that big leap to like, oh, they think I'm better, they're better than I am. But I'm thinking like, if this fucker keeps driving this way, I'm gonna have to make an adjustment and it's gonna cause me
a
harm.
guy like my brother-in-law.
We don't have to get personal, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
Well, yeah, like I raised my hand, like to say I don't have road rage, but that's not, I can't say always, because like I used to be a truck driver.
Yeah.
And like, it could be someone is like tailgating you for
Yeah.
just like doing dangerous shit.
Right.
And where you could have a fear, or they're just, or they're drunk, and sort of it all over the road, and I could upset you too, like just things that might endanger you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what.
Yeah.
Go
And
ahead.
isn't anger a reaction from fear?
Right, exactly. So fear is like the root of it, and anger is like the expression of it, right? Because you're not going to express, oh, I'm afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah,
You're
you're gonna get angry.
going to get pissed. Right,
Get
good.
pissed.
Okay, so you guys understand that the external environment can impact how our internal state is, right? But couldn't you also right? Because there's not actually danger. You're not actually, I mean, yes, you might actually be in danger, but for the most part, when road rage happens, there's not like an actual physical sense of danger at that moment, right? You forecast like, oh, if this guy keeps doing this thing, I'm gonna wreck my car. Does that make sense? Okay, so again, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to do with somatic awareness is to check in about what I'm experiencing internally, right? And does that match up with my external experience? So even when they do match up, so somebody pisses you off, you're having an interpersonal disagreement, right? Anger is okay to feel. What's not okay is that you start punching holes in the wall, right? It's okay to be angry, but modulate that to your experience. If there's no reason to punch a hole in the wall, you don't need to punch in a hole in the wall.
Hurt your hand.
It'll hurt your hand. It gets worse, right? Exactly. Does everybody understand what we're at with somatic experience? Any other questions on any of that? Grounding exercises, emotional regulation?
I feel like, knowing that the brain is a muscle, right? And it works the same way you work out, right? Muscle memory, so on and so forth, training. Every time you let something out of your control get to you, right? It trains your brain to automatically do just that. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So over time, grounding yourself and using your self-autonomy, you could actually rewire your brain so that you respond to stressors in a less reactive way, and that it allows you to gain control of your mind in general.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what James is talking about is like repetition, right? All of the practice that we had last week, right? We did our 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. We did some tapping. We did the body scan, right? We did some guided visualization. All of those are tools that are available, right? And again, it's not an exhaustive list. There's tons of other stuff you guys could do. But you could choose one of those and you could just start practicing it, right? You could just start repeating it and repeating it, right? And you will. This is exactly the point, right? Part of recovery is rewiring, reframing how your brain works first, but also how it reacts to the external environment and starting to set up new patterns of behavior, right? Literally transforming through this treatment process. Okay, and then we jumped into phases of healing. So for any of you guys who are interested in doing more research, I brought the book out today. The author's name is Peter Levine. He's been doing research on post-traumatic stress and therapy and all sorts of good stuff for many decades. He wrote a book called Waking the Tiger.
Sorry, what's his name again?
Peter Levine.
It's called Waking the Tiger.
Waking the Tiger is the one that kind of like got him real famous.
Does he do anything on grief?
Absolutely, yeah. Ton of stuff on grief.
The guy that wrote the book I was just mentioning earlier,
Say it again.
the guy that wrote Body Keeps the Score, wasn't his first book called Tiger something too?
No, he wrote Body Keeps the Score, Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah, Van Kolk wasn't his first, but he had a book I thought that was right before that one that was like I Have Tiger too.
I'm not familiar with that, but maybe.
Weird.
Yeah.
I never heard of him.
Um,
Peter Levine?
Peter Levine. Okay, so this is one of his shorter books. It's called Healing Trauma.
The 2 N's or 1 N?
1 N. So just a brief aside before I jump into all that stuff. The way that I look at addiction, to me, most of it is rooted in some kind of trauma. Most of us don't do a bunch of harmful drugs because we enjoy the way that they feel. Some of us do, for sure. But if you're, right, if you're smoking meth and living on the street, that's not a party lifestyle. You're trying to avoid something. Most of the time, that's something in your past that you haven't been able to navigate or process or metabolize to get to the present. Okay? And traumatic is entirely subjective, right? What might be traumatic for you is not going to be traumatic for me because we have different knowledge and experience, right? So some things might seem minuscule, right? Anybody lost a pet? Yeah. So there might be people in the room who are like, oh, your dog died, what the fuck, it's not a big deal. Well, maybe not for you, but maybe if that pet was one person's only companion, right, their best friend, and then that companion is no longer around, that's traumatic as fuck. Okay, so what we want to make sure we understand is that all of this is subjective. All of this is very personal and individual, right? I'm going to write a whole bunch of stuff up here that might apply to some of us. If it doesn't apply to you, that's okay. That just means you have some more research to do. You have some more work to figure out what applies to you and how to start working on it. Any questions on the phases of healing before we jump into it? Okay, last week we talked about prep phases. I'm not going to go through those today. If you're curious, I have them written down. Again, you could check in with some of the guys who have good notes. Phase 1 was avoiding dissociation and denial. So what these phases are talking about is like as you start to get sober, as your mind starts to come into the room without being under the influence of whatever substance you were on, right? Some things start to come up, right? Does everyone understand what dissociation is? Right? It's a process that your mind and body go through to help reduce the distress you experience in the moment. So it's not a conscious process, right? Something bad's happening to you, maybe you're in a car accident or you're being assaulted, your mind will just go somewhere else, right?
Is that word for, it used to be called multiple personality disorder? So now they use the word disassociated.
Yeah, the DSM's getting updated with some.
DSM-5, that now it's like disassociation disorder.
Yeah, and that's more like a chronic experience. Dissociation in general is usually very acute, right? You'll experience it one time relative to the trauma you experience. So if you're in an environment where repeated traumas or chronic trauma is happening, then you're talking about dissociative disorder where it's
Separated.
Yeah, exactly, right? You remove yourself from reality, basically. Okay? Versus denial, which is a conscious process, right? Where you understand that something bad has happened, and instead of accepting that as part of your reality, you deny that it's happened. Okay? Phase 2 is grounding. So again, once you start avoiding dissociation, you start to be more present with your own reality. Now we get into those grounding skills, where you start to like figure out how to navigate those challenging things in ways that are beneficial or productive. Then phase 3 is building a resource list. So once you're kind of back on track with sobriety, right, it's important to start making this a more communal effort, right? I talk all the time about how great it is to have this many dudes in the room who have varieties of experience, varieties of skills, varieties of knowledge, right? You guys should be networking the shit out of this place while you're here. Because you're going to go on to other places. You're probably going to go on to an IOP after this. Maybe you just go back to wherever you came from. But having that list of numbers of dudes you can call, who works with cars? Nobody, at least one, right? Who's in finance? Okay, maybe. Okay, cars and finance. This is the guy then. Get this guy's number, whoever he is. What I'm saying though is like everybody has a resource that could be potentially helpful to someone else, right? And the more you guys start building that up, that starts to develop that sense of community. And we all know that sobriety and recovery do not happen individually. If you're trying to do this by yourself, you probably should get out of that mindset ASAP, because you will need other people if you're going to be successful in your sobriety. Okay, all right, that kind of gets us up to, 15 minutes, God damn it. All right, so that gets us to the present. So today we're going to talk about tracking skills. So these are another way to think about how we interact with our emotional experience.
Do you have all the phases this time too?
Excuse me?
Physical phases of...
We're just going to do these 3 today.
Okay. We're picking up where we left off.
Say it one more time.
Are we picking up from where we left off? I just remember that we only go down like half of them last time.
Yeah, so we've just reviewed up to 3, and now today we're going to do 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody should be on somewhat the same page. If you're taking notes, let's write this stuff down. We're going to discuss them briefly before we get to break, and then in the second hour, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into these. Okay, so the first thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is these are all tracking skills. Does anybody not understand what a tracking skill means? You don't understand what it means? Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Last time we did phase 4, it was return to equilibrium. I could have gotten mixed up, I don't know.
Yes, so right. So we talked about prep phases, tracking skills, discharging activation, and returning to equilibrium. So those are like the 4 like big headings, and now we have 3 phases underneath each of them.
Okay, I see.
So last week we talked about prep phases, and now we're into tracking skills. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Will you tell me your name again, sir?
Sean.
Sean, thank you. I didn't get you when you came in. Okay, so what is tracking?
Following.
Following. Anybody hunt?
Like looking for patterns?
Looking for patterns. Beautiful. Okay? That is probably the most perfect way to phrase it in terms of how we apply it to sobriety, right? Bringing some self-awareness to how we behave and how we observe other people behaving, and starting to establish and be aware of patterns in our own behavior. What else about tracking?
Like, just sort of track, what are you contributing to participation, where the efforts go, and who's influencing you?
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So we've got a couple things there, right? Read them again for me, Ron.
What are you contributing to?
Mm-hmm.
Participation.
Mm-hmm.
Where are efforts going, and who is influencing you?
Right. So this is where we start to discuss like the trajectory of your life. Right? You're at a point now. Right? This whole kind of experience of treatment and recovery is sort of a crossroads. Coming here, you were on one path, and you can all kind of forecast or imagine what life would be like if you stayed on that path. By making the choice, yeah, most of us will be, right? Because most of the behavior that we were involved in was probably extremely self-destructive, right? But also probably negatively impacted the people around us as well, right? Probably cut us off from community, careless, whole sorts of nasty stuff, right? So by coming here, you at least understand that you don't want to be on that same path forever. Maybe for some of us, treatment right now is just sort of a break. Very few people get through your very first treatment, right? And then you're all the way home safe and clean. It just doesn't usually happen that way, which is okay, right? And it's okay to take a break. It's really nice to have a break from that, to kind of get your head right and maybe think about how it might be different.
Reset.
A reset, for sure, absolutely, right? So this is where tracking skills come in, where we're like shifting our trajectory from focusing on the bad shit that's happened to us and starting to swing, looking forward, being able to kind of forecast what could be if treatment goes well, if you have a good resource list, if you get supported by community, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Oh, I didn't write them down. Did I write them down on the other side? Oh, dang it. We didn't talk about sensation, emotion, and feeling. Okay?
Do you remember to start your thing?
I did start my thing. Appreciate that. So when we talk about tracking in this context, what are we tracking?
Your emotions.
Yeah, you get paid attention.
Our
See,
feelings or?
good. Yeah, there's no wrong answers, but today we're just going to focus on that emotional felt sense, right? How do we track that? So 3 words, you should write these down. Sensation, emotion, and feeling. So it's a little bit of a semantic game in the sense that these words are all very closely related, but we're gonna try and be a little bit more specific about what they mean and how they are useful to us in this context. So let's start with sensation. What do you guys imagine a sensation is? Something you can feel, right? So interacting,
There's negative and there's positive.
There-
So in Hinduism, they call it like sattva, and then, what is the negative one? Starts with the,
you're on your own stuff right there, man. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
well, that one guy broke it down into three, and it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I think what you're hinting at is that most religious traditions have some version of this, right?
I just got done reading when I was in so much time in jail.
Yeah, so like the joys and the sorrows in Catholicism, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, eschatology.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't have to be phrased in a religious terminology, but essentially, sensation is what you experience with your senses: touch, sight, hearing, tasting, smelling. You're taking in.
Oh, Raja.
There you go.
It's called Raja.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. That's the most common that every desire right there. What comes in with lust and sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Raja. That's what everybody's based on most. It's like very few people are based on sight. But Raja is passion. Passion is
Passion. There we go. Go ahead, sir.
Where are the senses again?
I mean, you can go touch,
Touch. Okay.
sight,
Sight,
hearing,
hearing,
tasting, and smelling.
Physical aspect.
So for you guys who were here last week, right, we did that grounding exercise, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you don't know what that is, get with one of the guys who were here last week, or check in with me on the break. I'll walk you through it. Okay, so this is a very, again, like we talked about, this is a somatic experience, right? You're taking in stimuli from the external environment, and that stimuli creates some kind of experience, right? So let's just think about one that's pretty simple, like the temperature in the room right now. If it was super hot in here, how might most of us react to that? Exactly, good. Right, and if it was too cold in here, how might most of us react? Same thing, right?
agitated.
So again, there's not a specific experience that we all experience, but if either of those experiences are too much, right, to whatever you are, there's some kind of emotional reaction to that.
Like worrisome, kind of like.
Yeah.
You know, where like if you're too cold, you like have a fear of like freezing.
Right, exactly, right. Good, you're getting right to it. So we have that experience, it's too cold, we have an emotion connected to it, I don't like that, and then it produces some kind of anxiety that hopefully produces movement or motion, right? So you would go and get a jacket, right? You wouldn't just sit in the cold, hopefully, if you didn't have to. Okay? So you guys, good examples, you guys are killing it today. Right? So external experience of sensation can produce a shift in our internal environment. This makes sense?
Yeah.
Good. Now, let's talk about who you need. Got one? All right. Okay, now let's talk about emotion. What is an emotion?
Emotion is a feeling.
Oh, it could be.
It's a reaction. It's a reaction to a feeling.
It could also be a reaction. But what is an emotion? And this is, I don't mean to, we're not going to,
Guess or answer.
well, there's no wrong answer, but it's also like this is, the language around this is lacking, right? And the reason I want us to try to work on the language is because if you guys don't know how to talk about this stuff, it's gonna make the process of going through it more challenging.
Mental and physical response to something that is like fight and flight kind of thing.
Yeah, it could be. I like that.
Feeling a type of way after being said or witnessing something.
Feeling a type of way.
Yeah.
Yep, so now we're into feeling again. And again, you're not wrong, but I'm saying like the language is right there where it's like sensation, emotion, and feeling are all kind of wrapped up in one, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, David.
A way to express outwardly what you're feeling.
Okay, excellent. So now we're talking about taking our internal state and expressing it to the world.
But you want to include an internal feeling, though, right?
It could be, yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're right on. They're all kind of wrapped up in each other. Go ahead, sir.
The spectrum in which we respond to external
A spectrum. Okay, good. So now we're kind of getting away from like good and bad when we talk about emotion, and we're just saying like things happen, and I might feel one way or the other way about it.
It's not black and white,
No.
good and evil. It's a million different little things.
Yeah. Anything else on emotion?
I'm not sure quite what it is, because I always thought it was a feeling.
Yeah, good. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about it to try and figure it out.
Yeah, just like Steven said, it's not good or bad, it's just a notification, because your body has to.
Excellent. Yeah, I love notification, right? I love notification. Go ahead, sir.
Notification how your body's feeling.
Yeah, yeah. And we could go off on this for a while. I'm gonna try and get you guys out on break on time. So I like communication, right? It's a way of taking your internal state and letting the outside world know about that, right? I like, say it again. You said notification?
Yeah.
Notification, right? So a notification both to yourself and to other people, like, okay, this is what's happening and this is how I'm responding to it, okay? And now we kind of get into like this messy spot where we take sensation and emotion, we put them together, and that's where we get feeling, right? Feeling as a verb is like experiencing, right? Right? Feeling as a noun is kind of like that mix. You have some sensation that you're experiencing, you have some kind of emotional response or notification, and those two things together equate to a feeling. So let's practice real quick. We're all familiar with anger, yes?
No.
What's anger?
Oh yeah, we got some sarcasm, nice.
What's anger?
At least you guys are awake. So when you experience anger, what is a physiological or like a physical experience
palms.
of anger? Sweaty palms, what else?
Get hot.
Yeah, like a flushed face, your face gets hot.
You start fishy in that.
Yeah, maybe you start to get a little dry mouth, yeah. All of these. All right, good. We've all been angry, good. All right, what about grief?
Oh, I know you wanna do it today.
Sad.
Crying? Yeah, but tell me what it feels like.
Lack of energy.
Lack of energy?
Emptiness in your chest as you're choking in your throat.
Yeah, good.
Happiness.
Heaviness, absolutely.
I
You guys-
like to get complacent and just not, I don't know how to explain it, because I'm working on a grief packet right now.
Yeah,
And I get to a point to where I've got to do something that's really hard, and I just don't do it.
yeah, right. So you probably suppress it, right? You try
Yeah,
to
I
avoid
suppress it.
Right. And nothing wrong with that. That's a reasonable response. But to your point, right? You guys see how every emotional experience you have comes with some kind of physical felt sense, some kind of physiological cue where you can say, I might not know what I'm feeling, but let me check in. Is my face flushed? Are my hands sweaty? Am I fidgeting? Given the context of what's happening outside of me, I'm probably angry right now. Right? Because we could take those three things and in a different context, all three of those physical symptoms might also equal being excited. Right? If you're pumped up and your face gets flushed and your hands get sweaty and you start to get a little jittery and there's a good thing happening in front of you, your mind is not going to say, be angry at that. Right? Your mind is going to say, oh my God, we're excited. This is a good thing happening. You guys starting to see the equation here?
Yeah.
Right? It requires you to be pretty self-aware about what's going on. It requires you to take a moment and pause, feel that felt sense of what's going on inside your body, observe what's happening in your external environment, and try to make those two things match.
I was gonna say that I don't agree. They say that it comes in phases too, so it can be kind of confusing.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And these are, again, kind of like Steven said, all of these are on a spectrum, right? Where your experience of grief in the acute, like you've just lost someone, is going to be very different than how you experience
You
grief.
think you're fine, and they'll come back and hit you with another one.
Yeah, and the thing
And if
is,
you use like for me, it's opiates. But my problem would be is to prolong the whole thing because I'm not fucking going through anything.
yeah, exactly.
And so I just put max over everything with opiates.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not gonna do with getting up for grief.
It will not, no. It will allow you to feel numb and not experience what might be the negative feelings associated with grief, but eventually you're gonna have to pay for that
At some point.
Absolutely. Yeah, great example. Thank you, Clay. Say again? Snack time? I got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes. trying to rush my shit. All right. All right. So I just want to make sure you guys understand the equation, right? Sensation, emotion, and feeling, how those three interact, how even though they're connected, there is some nuance and some difference between them. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay, fabulous.
Yeah.
You good. Go ahead.
Like, you know, the part of angry and emotion and everything. Like, you know, I used to get angry.
Mhm.
It was like I would be like, oh man, my anger was like in my head, like I'm angry because this is not going right. But I would never have that look. You know, I would just keep it to myself.
Mhm.
Part of it, I was just keeping the anger to myself, and I would just think in my head. Well, I seen another guy who was very angry one time, very, very angry. I said, "Are you angry?" You know, but mine wouldn't be. I would. People say, "But you don't never show yours."
Mhm.
I was always that way. Just never show it. I hid it.
Yeah, it's a great
Even
example.
with my alcoholism, I was like angry that I'm still drinking year after year. But if I was to see you and know you, oh, how you doing? Smile and everything, but I'm angry still.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Good example, Earl. Thank you. All right, any other questions before we break for snack? Cool. You guys are killing it. Good job. Hey, break for snack. Be back here at 10:30. You can't go anywhere else. Don't be late. Jesus.
Yeah.